The crypto market has been suppressed for 7+ years by certain administrations in the United States government. Specifically, we're talking about the SEC, and we can put a figurehead to it. Gary Gensler. Number one, Trump's going to fire Gary Gensler on day one. National Bitcoin stockpile, crypto advisory council created in the first 100 days, make the US the crypto capital of the world, boost US Bitcoin mining. And those are kind of like the big things that Trump says he'll do. Trump specifically is promising things that nobody thought the current US president would ever do to such a specific thing for the audience of Bitcoiners.
Bitcoin and the crypto markets continue to move higher. There's no stopping this train ever since Trump won. Bitcoin's just been in an upward tear, in a straight line upward. It's almost 100K now. I'm looking at the chart. It's $93,000. Aaron Arnold is here to break down what is going on. Aaron is one of the co-hosts of Altcoin Daily, along with his brother, Austin. I'm sorry your brother can't join us today, but Aaron, great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Great to be here, David. Been loving the work you've been putting out.
Thank you.
You know, I can, in my world, it's bear market, bull market. Now we're in bull market, but you cover a lot of different things in financial markets and everything, but you have been covering Bitcoin throughout the bear market. So even, your audience, I think, is definitely sharing in the glory of the crypto market being up, and excited to talk about with you today.
It's an exciting time for all of us. And you're right, I do cover all asset classes. I'm not a specific crypto channel like you, by the way. Everyone should check out Altcoin Daily if they want specific crypto news daily, as the name would suggest. But anyway, I'll link down below. So I don't do that, but I do cover finance. And there's a lot more interest now in Bitcoin and altcoin markets. Interestingly, though, I don't see a lot of Bitcoin headlines in the mainstream news just yet. Now, I maybe because I spend most of my time on sites like yours and Twitter and, alternative media. But even then, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sensing the same euphoria now as in 2021. And we're almost at 100K Bitcoin.
Definitely. And that was surprising to me too, because right now we did break clearly above all-time highs, but for the past few weeks, we were kind of just in that range, not breaking over. And what was amazing to me was we were at the exact same price we were 4 years ago in 2021, the exact same Bitcoin price, except nobody was talking about it. The market at large, I think, was kind of de-risked in that now BlackRock's in, now the US is bringing it in, and nobody was talking about it. Now we're broken above all-time highs. Clearly, we're making our way to $100,000. I'm just starting to see the media covering that. And I think once we do hit $100,000, obviously that's a big, huge number. We'll get even more press. And, this is another reason why clearly we're in that next leg of the bull market.
You had a video come out right after the Trump election called "Cryptos Are About to Explode." Cryptocurrencies are about to explode. And you highlighted all the reasons why, focusing on the changes that the Trump administration planned to make. What are some of these changes, and why do you think cryptos are going to explode?
Sure. Let's talk about why Bitcoin is rallying so hard. And by the way, if you're here from Altcoin Daily, smash that like button and follow David. But, just generally speaking, why is Bitcoin's price going up? They're calling it the Trump pump, which I do think is a cute way to explain it, but it's more than that. Here's the way I think about it. For the last 7+ years, the US market, or the crypto market, has been suppressed by the US markets. For the last 7+ years, the crypto market has been suppressed. And now that suppression is being lifted, these assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, they're in price discovery again. And the markets, now the question is, what is the fair value of these assets? If Gary Gensler had just complied with the laws for the last 7 years, Bitcoin futures were approved, I think it was November of 2017. Spot should have been approved months after that. It took us 7 years, and we went through lawsuits, enforcement actions, nightmare scenario for this industry. And, now with Trump coming into office, not only are there blue skies ahead, but there are specific things Trump wants to do. And we can talk about that if you want.
We will talk about that. I just want to flip over to my screen now just to give a sense of the scale of this move that we're talking about. So we went from 69 to currently 91. That is, if my chart will allow me to accurately show that, 31% move in a matter of days. Really. We had a similar big move early in the year, like you mentioned, the Bitcoin ETF getting approved, 42%. So actually on a magnitude basis, this isn't even as high as the move we got earlier in the year, and then it just stayed range bound. Let's take a look at the prior bull cycle in a short amount of time, Bitcoin went up 37% in 2021, and then early 2021, the first bull cycle, 80% move. So Bitcoin has seen this before, this kind of move. It's not even, if you just take, my point is, if you just take a look at prior bull cycles, this isn't even the biggest move we've seen, right? So, more room to climb, or is this it?
I think there's more room to climb. And obviously, if any of us knew the future, we'd all be rich. But if you look back at prior Bitcoin cycles, after Bitcoin clearly breaks above the previous cycle's all-time high, which, hey, we're there. That just happened.
Yeah,
The next 9-ish months are when you see the biggest gains, the highest rallies. And so because Bitcoin broke over all-time highs, the media is going to start talking about it again. Everybody at cookouts and parties around the world going, "Hey man, you have Bitcoin, my Bitcoin's up." We're about to
yeah.
see that next leg, the most exciting part, and actually the last leg of the bull market, I think, which, hopefully lasts for, 9 months, 12 months, nobody knows.
This is my fear, though, Aaron, from somebody who, wants the Bitcoin market to do well. Let's put it that way. I'm not personally invested. Full disclosure. People always claim David must be a Bitcoin investor. I'm not. I just like following the markets. But anyway, guys, this is what I'm concerned about. Media starts covering it. Everyone starts FOMOing and people start buying at the top. Well, we've seen this in 2021 when a lot of people bought around 67,000, 68,000. Right. That's when the peak was 67,000, not 68,000, but people were buying at 60K because that's when the media coverage really started to hype up, and then that was the top. So as soon as people start talking about it, we're going to reach the top. That's my fear. What do you think?
I think that is not only a possibility, I think that is likely to happen. Obviously not to everybody, and it's important for you and me and people with, channels to make sure, to try and orient people in the right way. But that's just market psychology. New people are coming into this space and they don't
Yeah.
understand the price history, they don't understand the past, and they just think, oh, they say it's going to be half of gold's market cap. And that's unfortunately going to happen. I think it's just important to say 30% dips, even 40% dips sometimes are common in Bitcoin bull markets. In past bull markets, we've seen the Bitcoin price dip 30, 40%, but still go on to make higher highs eventually. So I'm expecting that.
So let's talk about this price suppression you were talking about. Going back to regulations, you said that Bitcoin is now free from suppression. What is the Bitcoin price pricing in? What is not being suppressed anymore specifically?
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And right now, I think the market was suppressed heavily, but things have changed. And
Wait, sorry, suppressed by what? By whom?
the crypto market has been suppressed for 7+ years by certain administrations in the United States government. Specifically, we're talking about the SEC, and we can put a figurehead to it, Gary
Yeah.
Gensler. And like I described earlier, if Gary Gensler had just followed the laws and approved the spot products months after the futures products, there would be no turmoil like we've seen in the past 7 years where, companies have had to, go offshore and start, and they're less regulated that way. And, the government has been dealing with crypto through enforcement actions rather than just clear, fair policy. And, because of that, that has discouraged this industry. And the US is the largest capital market. And not kind of being able to thrive in the US is not that great. The dot-com bubble, we saw, computers and the internet thrive in the US. And we haven't really seen that for the past 7 years. So what's different? Going forward, we expect to see, number one, Trump's going to fire Gary Gensler on day one. This is what he says he'll do. We can talk about how much he can
Yeah.
get accomplished. He says he's going to fire Gary Gensler on day one, national Bitcoin stockpile, crypto advisory council created in the first 100 days, make the US the crypto capital of the world, boost US Bitcoin mining, generally speaking, regulatory changes that are fair and clear, the right to self-custody, no CBDCs, free Ross Ulbricht. And those are kind of like the big things that Trump says he'll do. So not only do we have just general regulations seeming to be fairer in the future, that's what the market's pricing in, but Trump specifically is promising things that nobody thought the current US president would ever do to such a specific thing for the audience of Bitcoiners.
I had a chance to speak with SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce, and she even admitted on air that the Bitcoin ETF should have been approved many years ago. I think a lot of people in the crypto community wanted to ask you and members of the SEC this following question: why did it take so long to finally approve a Bitcoin ETF? What was the process leading up to that decision?
Well, I mean, I had said we should have done this many years ago. I wrote in 2018 that we should have approved one of the products that one of the applications that came in, and I've been very dissatisfied with the pace at which we operated, and frankly with the process, because I think we applied a different standard for these kinds of products than we have for similar products. Ultimately, the process that got us there was a court telling us that we were acting in a way that was arbitrary and capricious, and so we essentially, I think, our hand was a little bit forced to say, okay, we had to approve Bitcoin exchange traded products.
And I just want to highlight the fact that not everyone at the SEC is pro enforcement action all the time. So let's suppose Trump follows through and replaces Gary Gensler with somebody else. What's next?
What's next? Well, right now a bill that just passed in the House. It is called the Fit 21 bill that passed the House, and we need a president to basically check off on that. That either can happen near the end of the year in Biden's lame duck period, or it will definitely happen when Trump comes to office. And that's basically, creating just baseline fair regulations that everybody kind of agrees on. That's going to happen. Gary Gensler is going to be gone, and we're going to see a new SEC chair that once that bill passes, then it's going to be defined. The SEC works on this. The Commodities Exchange works on this. This is what constitutes as enough sufficiently decentralized. We're going to see Gary Gensler get out of there. We're going to see basically an invitation to crypto builders to build in the U.S. and take advantage of all the U.S. has to offer. In addition, we're going to see, and this is and that's good for crypto. Like Trump is very good for altcoins. Trump is very good for crypto. He's very good for Bitcoin, and specifically with his national Bitcoin stockpile policy. That's something I'm excited about.
Does the market really care, though? And this is just plain devil's advocate. Does the market really care about less regulation, specifically around ETF products, right? The ETH ETF was announced this year. ETH did not significantly outperform Bitcoin. And in fact, actually, it's down from its highs. So even after this past week's rally. So I'm just wondering whether or not at this point it even matters. What do you think?
Well, I want to be clear. We're not looking for less regulations. We're looking for fair, clear regulations.
I
But to
understand.
answer your question, I think it really does matter. Bitcoin dominance has been rising for years. It's very common to see kind of just Bitcoin or just like very few crypto assets. It's usually just Bitcoin rise in the beginning, and then once Bitcoin breaks all-time highs, then we see that alt season. And I think, BlackRock just announced today or recently that their Biddle fund, is going to be multi-chain now. So it's not just Ethereum. And it's interesting that now we know Trump is going to be president, a pro-crypto president. Now they're saying we're going multi-chain. So you're right. Ethereum has kind of underperformed. Could be due to a variety of reasons. I still think, Ethereum is institutionalized. I still think there's a lot of reason to be bullish on Ethereum, but it is competing with a lot of, the Solanas, the Suis, all that stuff. It does have kind of more competition than Bitcoin. I'm still bullish, but certainly for the altcoin market at large, I think it does make a difference.
Let's talk about the altcoin market. Let's start with Ethereum first, since we're already talking about it. I have been hearing from some people that I know who's very well versed in the crypto space. Their concern is that Ethereum is turning into Solana, or it's turning into some token that promises all these secondary applications and doesn't really deliver. And now it's the other concern I've heard is that you've got the pro Bitcoin camp and then you've got the altcoin market camp, and the altcoin market camp is going to lose according to some of these Bitcoin maxis because you've got things like Ethereum whose value is derived from celebrities like Vitalik. You've got things like Doge, who we'll talk about meme coins in just a minute, that goes up depending on the wind of whatever celebrity is talking about, the meme coin. And so it's not a sustainable investment long term. How would you evaluate this?
You know what? Bitcoin has its celebrities too, the Michael Saylors. I understand your point
Sure.
though, but I think that Ethereum, I think there is a future there. I think that Ethereum, it does kind of get trolled a lot because it really hasn't aimed for as decentralized as Bitcoin has, and it hasn't aimed for as user oriented as the Solanas and the Suis, the more corporate blockchains. And it's kind of stuck in the middle where everything's going on layer twos now. Now there's questions, well, do those layer twos actually give value to the main chain? I think Ethereum, the thing is, Ethereum did pass the threshold. It's an ETF product. I think we're going to see more altcoin ETFs going forward. But, I think Ethereum is here to stay. There's a lot of different ways like Ethereum captures value. Ethereum stablecoin market, still huge. Ethereum's DeFi products, still huge. Just the ecosystem of DeFi in general, which is vast. And, that takes Ethereum off the market and it's used in those protocols. Um, we'll have to see, but I still think there's a lot of reason to be excited on Ethereum.
What is your outlook on the altcoin space overall? I know that's huge, it's thousands of coins, but just summarize your sentiment. Is it altcoin season yet?
It's not altcoin season yet, but we're getting very close. And let me tell you what I'm looking for. So when you ask about altcoins, people want to know, is now the time? And I
Yeah.
think now is a pretty good time, and we're getting close to maybe the best time. And let me tell you what I look for.
Yeah.
So with altcoin season, a few things usually tell us that altcoin season is on the horizon. The first one is that Bitcoin price hits a new all-time high and we see a clear breakout. Guess what? That just happened. The second thing, now that Bitcoin's rallying today towards 100K,
Hmm.
the people who've been in it for a while start to feel a wealth effect. Well, my Bitcoin, I've already seen huge Bitcoin gains, maybe Ethereum gains. And I don't think I'm going to be able to like triple my money near the end of this bull run with Bitcoin. I don't think I'm going to be able to make those the best gains. So my portfolio is up. I'm going to move more of that money into lower cap plays because I know it's that time of the cycle where you can get the most gains that way. At the same time, new people coming into the market, the same people you and I were worried about, hopefully they don't buy the top. Those people are going to come in and say, oh man, I missed out on Bitcoin. I missed out on these higher cap plays. I need to buy these more degen coins. That's going to contribute to alt season, that wealth effect. And then what we're going to see is Bitcoin dominance drop dramatically as all that happens. Guess what? I think Bitcoin dominance is still near all-time highs today, if not just made a new one. I suspect that's going to drop dramatically sometime soon. I'm not saying the top is in, but I'm saying the top is close. And when that happens, that's when we will see alt season. And alt season after Bitcoin breaks all-time highs has lasted anywhere from 3 months to 6 months
Yeah.
to 9 months. It goes in ebbs and flows, but that's what I'm looking for.
Well, here's my question. Altcoins, meme coins in particular, they're not bought by the BlackRocks of the world, right? They're bought by retail investors, usually for the most part. Where are the retail investors now? In 2021, we weren't having this conversation. We weren't asking where are they? We're asking where are they not? But this time it's different. I mean, why aren't people coming out now in droves now that the price has just been skyrocketing? Is it just late to the party? Are they scared because they got burned last time? Are people just permanently out? What's going on, do you think?
I think we're not at the part of the cycle where retail dives in droves, but we're very close, David. You're so like you're like, oh, I want all of it now, but
Yeah,
this is going to come down the line, and
sure.
I do think it's very close. Like we're basically just a little bit higher than the top of 2021, and that's when retail was here in droves. I was getting like crazy numbers on the YouTube channel. In retrospect,
Yeah.
it was obvious the top is in. It's not the case today, and it's ultimately good that we're not at that point in the cycle yet, because
Hmm.
that would be more of a top signal that, oh, the top might be coming around soon. We're not there yet. I think we can see that going towards 100K, breaking all-time highs, we're close to that point, but we're not there yet. It's ultimately a good thing. And hopefully retail will listen to people like you and me and the great educators out there and, not don't invest more money than you can afford to lose. Try and like have a little bit of context before you invest and all the best practice stuff.
I understand. Well, you also have a video called Altcoins Are About to Explode. So tell us a little bit about which ecosystems, which types of sectors you're looking forward to.
Sure, sure. And nowadays in crypto, unlike 4 years ago, unlike 8 years ago, there are different verticals in crypto that I'm bullish on. Back in the day, it was just, oh, I'm interested in Bitcoin and Litecoin and Dash, and those are all trying to be money. And then at a certain point, it was like, I like Bitcoin, and then there's also Ethereum, which is going to be proof of stake sometime. Now there is gaming. Now there is DeFi. Now there is, different privacy products in DeFi. There's meme coins, of course, too. What I'm bullish on, I think we're going to see a consolidation into the Bitcoin ecosystem, and Bitcoin is its ecosystem, its altcoin ecosystem is going to really explode in a way that it hasn't before. And we just saw a big update that allowed Sovereign, a layer two of Bitcoin, it's going to bring in a lot of usership. I think we're going to see Sovereign as an example of a Bitcoin layer two, that ecosystem do well. I do think we're going to see, everybody talks about the gaming boom is going to come at sometime soon. I do think we're going to see that at some point. But, in reality, we're going to get to a point in the cycle where everything starts to trend up a little bit, even meme coins. And that's when things get interesting. That's when things get dangerous.
Yeah, perfect segue. Is it meme coin season yet? Take a look at my screen. This is Doge. So Trump announced that he wants to, I'm not making this up, a new government arm called DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. It's going to be led by Elon and Vivek. So as soon as that came out, this happened in the price. Now, I just want to get your, I just want to get your reaction to this. What's going on here?
Well, first of all, regarding Elon and Vivek being the heads of the new government Department of Government Efficiency, kind of ironic that the Department of Government Efficiency has two bosses. But besides that, it is pretty cool. This pump, I think it has little to do with the name being an anagram of Doge.
Okay.
Obviously, Elon talking about Doge in any capacity is ultimately really good for any crypto, particularly Dogecoin. But I actually think we see a Dogecoin pump like this kind of preceding or at the very beginning of all Bitcoin booms. If you go back, past performance doesn't indicate future results, but it just so happens that usually you do see Doge rising from the ashes near the beginning of the bull years or like
Yeah.
right before. And to me, that just indicates that we're at that point in the cycle. And that's another green flag that tells me get bullish on altcoins. And by the way, I'm not just bullish on Bitcoin layer two altcoins.
Sure.
I think the industry is going to consolidate towards Ethereum and Bitcoin and maybe one or two other Solana. But ultimately, the protocols I see rising to the top, besides stuff like meme coins, is ones that generate real revenue, ones that have real usership, and Bitcoin, Ethereum, but a consolidation of sorts.
And it's interesting you brought up Bitcoin versus Dogecoin. So I just, while you were speaking, I overlaid Bitcoin with Dogecoin. And obviously, there have been periods where they moved separately, but more or less, if you just take a look at the past 5 year period, there's been a correlation. Will there come a time, Aaron, in the near future where you see the altcoin space or specific ecosystems moving independently of Bitcoin? In other words, it's not just following the biggest crypto out there.
Of course, David, that's a great way to think about the future. And we're seeing that more and more every single cycle as, like I said, it used to be just money coins. Now it's the different verticals. And I dream of a day, David, and I think there will come a day
Mhm.
where there will be a great crypto gaming ecosystem or a great DeFi product in the space that has little to do, as far as usership and growth, little to do with Bitcoin's price going up or the Fed, cutting rates.
Let's talk about the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. You outlined a bunch of new initiatives that Trump wants to implement just now. Let's focus on the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. How confident are you that this will actually be delivered?
That's a good question, because let's be real, David. You're not one of those people. We're all excited Trump's going to be the president again for crypto, but you're not one of those people who thinks Trump completed every single promise he did in his first term.
A lot of what he said he did, but look, all politicians, they say stuff that they can't deliver on. It's never
Exactly.
100%. And I'm just wondering if this is going to be like the 5%.
Trump did a lot, but he promised in his first term, but not everything. So, I mean, it is a
Sure.
good question to ask. Will
Sure.
he actually be able to do all of this? And I think it's not likely anybody's able to do all of this. All politicians fail in that. But specifically, the national Bitcoin stockpile, and then perhaps the Bitcoin reserve, I think that he has a very good chance of completing that. And what he has promised, to be specific, is a national Bitcoin stockpile, taking all the Bitcoin the U.S. has, confiscated, which is actually we're one of the top nations with the
Yeah.
Bitcoin supply, but it's just stuff we've taken. I think he is likely to do that. What we're looking for, what this industry is looking for, is him to say, okay, we have those Bitcoin, but we're going to treat it like a reserve and continue adding to it. And, a lot of people know Trump likes, good, PR stories. A lot of people are saying Trump could raise the amount of Bitcoin to 1 million Bitcoin in the US reserve, which would be 121 of the supply. So to answer your question, I think Bitcoin stockpile is likely. What we want to see is a continuation of that and actually make it be a reserve and add Bitcoin to it. And I think either way, even if just the stockpile is completed, I think all of a sudden that puts pressure on other countries. So I think other countries, whether it's Saudi Arabia, different smaller countries, Russia, China, I think they do kind of have been looking at Bitcoin for a while. Perhaps they've been accumulating for a while, but this puts pressure on them to say, well, what do you got? The US has this much Bitcoin. How much do you have?
Well, why, just fundamentally, why does the U.S. need a Bitcoin strategic reserve? I mean, here's the counter argument here. I understand a strategic petroleum reserve. Let's say if there's a natural disaster, the country goes to war, there needs to be a stockpile of petroleum, okay? Because we need that. But why does there need to be a stockpile of Bitcoin?
Yeah, the US needs a stockpile of Bitcoin for very similar reasons why it has a stockpile of gold. Gold, unlike a lot of other assets, doesn't really do anything. Yeah, you can use it in cell phones and wear it as jewelry, but it's not like a asset with tons of utility.
Sure.
Bitcoin's kind of the same way. It's one of the only cryptos where it doesn't need to do everything for it to be valuable. Kind of, the nature of what makes Bitcoin the most decentralized, most permissionless, most censorship resistant. So it needs a Bitcoin stockpile, to have exactly the same reasons you'd want to have a gold stockpile. And Bitcoin is gold 2.0. That's the way I think of it. A lot of people think of it, and it's better than gold in a lot of ways.
Well, so the last chart I want to show you before we wrap up is the Bitcoin dominance. So let's suppose you're right. Let's suppose Trump follows through on these promises. What do you expect the Bitcoin dominance to do in the future? Even despite Dogecoin pumping and maybe some other meme coins moving up now, the dominance of Bitcoin is still going up, meaning the market capitalization percentage of Bitcoin versus the rest of the crypto market is still going up. Will this continue?
David, important to keep in mind that, it's famous last words, this time's different, but the crypto market as it relates to dominance is different from every other cycle. Our stablecoin market, or the stablecoin market in crypto, is one of the most successful markets. It's huge. Obviously this time BlackRock is in, Wall Street is now integrating Bitcoin specifically, and now they're moving downstream.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I think the top is close for Bitcoin dominance. I don't know if it's going to get to 62, 65, 70, but I think that top is coming soon. And I think we are going to see a massive shakeout in dominance like we've seen every other time Bitcoin has broken all-time highs and had a continuation. I don't know if it's going to be as big as the 2017 one or as big as the 2021 one, but I expect we're going to see a multi-month stretch where it just kind of dives. And that's going to tell us that the top is closer to being in, and just generally speaking, the crypto cycle at large, not just Bitcoin, is in its final most bullish leg.
Here's my theory, and correct me if I'm wrong. If you take a look at this massive drop in dominance in 2021, that's when the altcoin market exploded, as you know. Okay, so Bitcoin dominance cratered. Unless we see something like this, the retail audience isn't going to get back in this to the same degree as they did in 2021. Basically, we need to see this line go down.
Mhm.
That's my theory. Correct me if I'm wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that would be telling that we're not at the most euphoric, frothy part of the market.
Hmm.
Is that a bad thing, David? I mean,
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. It's, this we know what happened after 2021.
it'd
So,
be better if it didn't fall so sharply in a matter of just a few months. That'd be the best outcome. That's not what's happened in history, so it's
yeah.
likely that something similar to that could happen again. But if that doesn't happen, or if it goes slower, or if it's different and less volatile, that's not a huge problem. The fundamentals are still the same.
So finally, Aaron, I mentioned you have the one of the biggest crypto channels on YouTube, Altcoin Daily. Everyone should check that out. What are some of the narratives you're following now in the coming days, weeks, now that Trump won?
Sure. So, of course, we cover the daily news on our channel and the whole crypto space, and I encourage anybody who follows us to subscribe to David. What we're looking for is coming in. Here's the thing: things have changed now that Bitcoin broke all-time highs and is rallying towards 100K. So we're going to start to pivot a little bit more. I know we're called Altcoin Daily, but we cover the whole market and Bitcoin a lot
Yeah.
specifically, and certainly in bear markets, it's just smart to cover Bitcoin. That's certainly very interesting, and the amount of adoption it's had recently. I say that to only say, and it sounds funny if you're not familiar with the channel, we're going to be pivoting a lot more towards altcoins and discovering those different narratives. There are gems in almost every vertical: gaming, DeFi, DePIN, whatever it is, and we're going to be exploring that more. And certainly, what we're going to be looking for on our channel is where are we in this cycle? How the big question: how far can Bitcoin go? How high? And nobody knows, but we're going to start to focus way more on altcoins and find specific gems because that's where we are in the cycle. Of course, always important to remember, it's personal finance for a reason. Just because I'm buying a coin doesn't mean that you should.
Absolutely. Altcoin Daily, link down below. Follow for daily altcoin news. I appreciate you coming on, Aaron.
Thanks, David. You do great work. Happy to be here.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.